This festive period may be one like no other. Why? Well, the reason is not far-fetched. It's because the novel coronavirus is a factor to consider in meetings, in hugging, in eating, family socialization and all that. And apart from the economic impacts which almost all countries of the world have felt as a result of COVID-19, socializing, which is one of the heights of the holidays, has to be done with respect to COVID-19 protocols. Now, with numbers increasing in Nigeria and daily numbers now are hovering around 1,000, how will Nigerians factor this into the celebrations of this period? Let's discuss on Special Report. You're welcome. I'm Ini John Mekwa. In a country of about 200 million population, over 50% have been observed to prefer road travels for various reasons, ranging from cost to availability. Typical of holidays and festive periods, people prefer to spend the time with family and friends who can mostly get off work at these times. So travels, social gatherings, events increase exponentially at this time. At one of the Lagos bus parks where many travel from, the period is a profit-making time for operators. Mostly prices are hiked at this time, but this would hardly stop the increase in demand. Some non-operators even convert their vehicles to cash in on the goodies. This year seems, however, different. While the government hopes to deter travels and social gatherings because of the risk of spreading COVID-19, economic reasons seem to be the deterring factor.
The people that travel these days reduces due to the increment of pump price. So the number of people that travel reduce because of the price of the vehicles per passenger. Before, we carry territory on seats, and that time we carry passenger at the rate of 3,500. Now we carry 6,000 naira because of the pump price, increment in pump price.
This does not mean that some Lagos residents are not embarking on travels. Consequently, the Federal Road Safety Corps is saddled with the responsibility to ensure not just safety on the roads, but added to that, compliance with COVID-19 protocols. The government had listed, among others, that buses are to be 60% capacity.
We have distributed all our men into all the major parks in Lagos, where they sensitize the motoring public, both the commuters and the drivers, on how to sustain the theme for this year: drive safe and stay safe. Drive safe in the sense that routine, we must keep safety on our road. Stay safe is because of the season we find ourselves, COVID-19 pandemic.
Another means of traveling is the rail. While not so popular, the efforts of the government to revamp the sector may create more than usual demand at this time. In December, the Lagos-Ibadan corridor received attention at the beginning of trial operations. It's a double-track standard gauge rail covering 156 kilometers. This, according to the Managing Director, Nigeria Railway Corporation, would decongest the ever-busy Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, but it comes with another possible avenue of the spread of COVID-19.
The train leaves Lagos 8 a.m., leaves Ibadan 8 a.m. and get to Lagos 10:30, and in the evening 4 p.m. and get to Ibadan 6:30 in the evening. Because the stations are not fully ready, we are using our narrow gauge station at Ebotemeta Junction to board the passenger from Lagos, while we are using, although the standard gauge new station, but not exactly at the station, but we are using the platform, so that since construction is still ongoing, we just have the passengers buy a ticket outside the station and walk them to the train to sit to board I don't think our people even know the way I see them. It's said that they don't believe there is COVID. I don't want to say they're ignorant of it. Because government have emphasized done public education to ensure that people awareness is right there. But when I see people in the town joining buses, lapping themselves without facial mask, and climbing the Okada without facial mask, even right in our compound, we have to be strengthening workers. If you don't wear facial mask, you go on suspension for them to wear. But once they know there is no supervising person, you still see them. We try to enforce the protocol by ensuring that people wear their masks and use sanitizer. We also try to make sure we sanitize the luggage. Yes. We just remove the social distancing, but enforcing the facial mask, because there is no way we can operate with the exodus of people coming to the train station. I think about 3 weeks ago, the staff there were overpowered because of the number of people trying to board the train. So in order to do that, we just have to, what we can do to make everybody happy is to ensure that they wear their face mask, and we appeal to the public and users to ensure they just obey simple instruction of wearing this face mask at the station premises and as well inside the train from point of departure to point of arrival. The e-ticketing for Abuja Kaduna will start, definitely I can swear to it that will start this year. Then we are extending to Lagos, Ibadan, after going through the normal due process. And as at that time, you can buy your tickets with your handset and go to the station with your handset. You have validator that will allow you to go to the platform. And when you get to your destination, is that ticket that will allow you to leave the station. Otherwise, you'll be, you cannot pass the station.
At the airports, where there's been about 100% increase in airfare, some airlines have connected this to their inability to access foreign exchange at the official rate, while the Federal Airport Authority of Nigeria had increased its fees. However, it seems a lot of Nigerians are still determined to spend the holidays with their family members. Not even the fear of getting infected can deter them.
I have children. I'm not scared because everything needed is supplied by the airport.
Okay, so you're confident that...
Yes, I'm sure that I'm getting there without any infection.
Actually, I'm not scared, but I know I have concern about it. But definitely, I'm not scared. I know it's part of life anyway, and I know there is a lot of issues, but and I think people are taking precautions somehow, particularly at airport, to ensure that people are actually protected against it.
I'm not that worried, because when they talk about this infection, I believe is not common in Africa. So, but it is a case to talk about in foreign countries, but not in Africa.
If anybody should tell you this is not real, it's real. It's real. We are hearing the news. We are seeing a lot of things. We are seeing a lot of a lot of people in the hospital. So it's real.
Governments at various levels are beginning to take steps to curtail this worrying new trend of higher daily figures. In Niger State, the governor, Abubakar Bello, has directed all civil servants in the state, excluding essential service providers, to stay at home from Monday the 21st of December. 17 local government areas have so far recorded cases of the virus. In northwestern Kaduna State, the government has closed all schools to curb the spread of COVID-19. This is also extended to all tertiary institutions, as schools authorities have been advised to make other plans for the continuity of their academic activities. Learners in basic and post-basic classes are to continue learning on Kaduna State TV and the state radio e-learning programs.
We are making so many considerations. So many people are coming down with the disease, and
no definite decision has been taken yet. We are going to meet later in the evening, as usual, as an EOC, where our team of experts usually discuss and agree on the best suggestion to offer to the government. Borno State is also experiencing a spike in the number of COVID-19 cases, as from the date schools reopened on 11th November 2020 to date, we've continuously recorded a higher number of cases in the state. We have 5 treatment centers and a few are on home management as well. We have the Infectious Disease Control Center at Kakuri, the Hamdallah Motel that was acquired and converted to a treatment center by the state government, Zaria Hotel in Zaria, AB Teaching Hospital, and Kafanchan also has a center within the College of Nursing Center. Now, and then there are a few patients that are being managed at home. Whenever our team of experts inspect their houses and discover that they are convenient for them to be managed without the risk of spreading the disease to anyone, they allow that and they monitor them on a daily basis while receiving medication. The danger is actually of all the criteria that were set down that could warrant a lockdown in Kaduna State, we've met all but one. Unfortunately, at the moment, Lere local government in particular has recorded 5 times the number of cases it has in a week, while the criteria says that any local government that records twice the number of cases it has in a week could warrant a lockdown. This one recorded 5 times of such numbers. And all the other criteria, avoidance of a total neglect of the COVID protocols, non-compliance with the social distancing, respiratory and hand hygiene address of them are all in the increase among the general populace. So of all, like I said, it is only one that the state has not met, which is for the Federal Ministry of Health or NCDC to announce a local government or a community as a high burden area, which has not yet been done.
In southeast Enugu State, the recent rise in the number of daily cases has become a major concern for the government, and the government is asking citizens to adhere strictly to the COVID-19 protocol, especially at this time. The Commissioner for Health, Dr. Ikechukwu, says the curve for the second wave can quickly be flattened if everyone takes responsibility of wearing their face masks and other safety measures. He promises that the government is prepared to handle all the COVID cases should the numbers escalate.
There are strong arrangements. When we tell you there are sample collection centers in different LGAs now, what it means is that we are prepared. If people come back for the Christmas and they come in and they start to develop symptoms, we have our numbers. But we said if you notice somebody developing symptoms that are worrisome, call the relevant numbers. When you call the relevant numbers, the disease surveillance and notification process will be triggered. We have rapid response teams in all the LGAs. If the information comes to the state, we call the relevant LGA where that community is existing. The rapid response team will go and investigate. If there's a need to collect samples there, the sample collection centers will move and collect your samples, send it for test. If the person is positive, the activity continues. Contact tracers will approach you, start to check the people you have gone into contact with. If you need to be instituted with treatment, the treatment will start. The thing is, if you don't enter the system that has been built, you will not get care. But once you get into the system, you will ultimately get the care that is required based on the arrangements that have been made. So if people travel and come, international travel has been taken care of by the country. There are processes. Before you come in, you will test. When you come in to Nigeria, you will test. If you are positive, you will be required to isolate yourself. And then the state ministry will go and institute treatment for you. If you don't have anywhere to stay, we'll start talking about putting you in an isolation and treatment center for treatment. So the mechanism is in place and the data is being monitored. If the data requires that travel will stop, you will definitely hear about it.
why does it seem so difficult to get a high level of compliance to the safety protocols? Dr. Austin Okigbo has done a study on human behavior in the pandemic and now attempts to explain this. He believes that tackling the virus should go beyond studying biological nature as it's developing to include other socio-cultural issues which could potentially disrupt the fight.
The issue here is, first of all, citizens don't trust the government and the governmental agencies that are giving them information on what to do. That's one. Secondly, Nigerians, like in many other societies, like here in the United States, are entrenched in this idea that this season we must celebrate it, we can't afford to lose it. And the implication is you can't control it. You can't tell people what, it's difficult to tell them what to do. If you want to make a way forward in matters like this, especially in a country where the citizens are so untrusting of the government needs to begin to partner with other civil bodies and organizations who tend to have the access to the minds of the citizens at the grassroots level. Because that's part of what you need. You cannot solve this problem from your ivory tower of state governance. What has happened in Nigeria, for the most part, is that the churches, at least have been monitoring the case in Nigeria. At some point, it was as if the churches, religious organizations, felt like they are being victimized, they are being marginalized. Instead of collaborating, instead of having a dialogue and collaboration, right? Look, Nigerians are very religious people. Where do you normally find the majority of Nigerians? At the church venues. The religious leaders are the main leading opinion leaders in the country today. Not politicians, not the traditional rulers. People don't even trust the traditional rulers a lot.
14th of December, UK's Health Minister Matt Hancock told Parliament that a new variant of the coronavirus associated with faster spread had been identified in southeast England. The United Kingdom government says that by 13th of December, 1,100 cases of the variant had been identified, mostly in the south and east of England. Given the fact that the restriction on international flights have been lifted in Nigeria and some Nigerians living abroad may wish to spend the holiday in Nigeria, this becomes a worrying factor for the country.
Let's not forget the fact that we're dealing with a very stubborn virus that have the tendency of modifying its structure, which is what we call mutation. So it might have mutated between the first wave and then second wave. So we may be seeing a different variant of the virus, that we need to study again beyond what we know about the virus with the first wave. So we may start studying a new virus, even though the same COVID virus, but with a different shape and behavior. So it's important, and that is why I say we need to follow the science, and that is what I mean, that we just need to study the virus closely in terms of person, place, and time, and then its behavior, because that will actually define the response our response to the virus. In addition to what we present, it's even more worrying now that with the second wave, what we are seeing is that the epidemiology is different from the first wave, because with the second wave, we are beginning to see cases more in children around 10 years old to young adults 30 years old, which is a departure from the past. And let's also not forget that this age group are the most mobile. Some of them are in primary school, some are in secondary school, some are in university, and then some are just young adults that are highly productive. So they are highly mobile. So the tendency, because of the age group involved with the second wave, is that the risk is that we most create, because if it's the older age group or the much younger age group, the older age group as per the last wave, the first wave, then the movement is a little bit much more restricted. But with highly mobile young age group, being affected more with the second wave, then is really worrisome.
While this is a cause for concern, Dr. Mohammed insists that the already set out protocols of proper hand washing as often as possible, wearing face masks and social distancing will go a long way to reduce the spread.
I see three scenarios playing out. The first scenario is people should comply with laid down public health measures of masking, of washing hands, of keeping safe distance, of avoiding crowds, and then of ensuring that we, as much as possible, minimize massive gathering. And then we now watch in the next few days the case counts of the virus. Is it increasing? Are we going towards 800-900? If consistently the case counts keep on increasing, then I see a second scenario happening. If people cannot abide by laid down public health measure, then there may be need for dialogue, for massive public enlightenment, and then for use of community structures to convince people, to make them aware that second wave has arrived the country. The second wave is deadlier. Let's see if people will risk their life or will abide by the public measure. But in the event, that may also include sanction. So what I see happening is, I expect that states and local governments should also have a role to play. States, local government, state and federal government all have a role to play in terms of enforcement, because we've seen it even in the developed world, where people have been, people are paying fine for non-use of face masks. So it's a kind of, it's a form of sanction, and then we can also do that in Nigeria. If that does not happen, that does not, reduce the case counts, then we may have to look at the second scenario. That second scenario is partial lockdown of the economy. And what do I mean by partial lockdown of the economy? Public health spaces and public spaces should be locked down. No mass gathering in mosque, no mass gathering in churches, no parties, OM-base should be stopped. Conferences, either by government or private organization, because you'll have seen in the last few weeks, so many conferences taking place. Conferences by government offices, conferences by private organizations. You see people mingling as if COVID is over, as if the virus has been eliminated. So we just have to, look at that second scenario of partial lockdown of the economy. If that does not happen, then I'm afraid, the government may have to look at complete lockdown of the economy.
With COVID-19 figures going up fast this time, it is important to remember that staying alive to celebrate next Christmas is much better than ignoring the safety measures at this time. So let's enjoy the holidays with safety regulations. I'm Ini John Mekwa.